You're saying I attract a certain type of woman who loves money, right?
I think we all attract a certain type of person based on who we are, what we put out.
Well, you nailed it. So based on who you are, depends on what you chase in the world. Wouldn't the most attractive women on the planet want money? Let me ask you, this is a thought experiment. If you're a beautiful woman and you know you're beautiful, you're in the top tier of beauty on the planet. You're the top 0.1% of women on the planet in terms of pure looks. Are you going to use that to make money, or are you going to go with a broke? You're going to use that to make money because you have a USP.
Well, society proves it, I think.
Absolutely. So if I want the most beautiful women on the planet, those women want money. So here we are.
So you just get rich to attract beautiful women? Is that
No, that's not why I got rich. I got rich because I wanted to be powerful. I actually didn't want money. I wanted power. Turns out everyone realizes once they have money that they never wanted money in the first place. They wanted power.
Where if someone got with me, I'd be like, Andrew, I've got tight holes, good blowjob skills, and I'm not going to cry rape the next day.
How could you be tight with that? I don't want to just state the obvious, but how could you be tight with that amount of men?
Well, that'd be your opinion, Rob.
I'm just a question. My opinion doesn't mean anything in this situation.
I can prove it, though. Do you want to prove it? We'll see who's tighter, your wife or me.
Next question, huh?
This isn't about Bonnie, and it's not about Tate either. It's about what happens to all of us when we chase things that were never meant to fill us. When sex becomes sport, when status becomes identity. Today, we're breaking down the psychology behind it and why the more you win the game, the more it eats you. Now, in this particular clip that's going absolutely viral, I have found sections of giving proof that chasing all of these things that we give so much value to without purpose will leave you lonely and empty. But I'm not just gonna yap about it. I'm gonna show you. And if this is your type of content, where the slogan here is always better to understand than to be understood, that includes ourselves, the people around us, and the society that we're in. If that sounds like something that you love to get into, more than surface level, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's dissect this video.
Are you hard on yourself?
You have to be, otherwise you can't win.
Are you hard right now? I mean, I heard they call you Cobra Tate. Are you packing a python?
Bonnie, Bonnie, you're not an ugly woman. You're attractive. But because I'm jaded through my, long and industrious career, the only thing I find interesting really about women nowadays is kind of similar to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to take the souls of the virgin men.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to get a woman's heart more than I like to get her pussy. I kind of like her to be obsessed with me. And that's easier to do when you're one of her first men.
I mean, as soon as she sees you watching your money, you're all right. You've got a heart.
Yeah, but no, that she's obsessed with my bank. I want her to be obsessed with me for real. I try and find women who love me, which is very difficult.
For who you are and not your money and transactions.
No, it starts with the money and transactions, and it kind of stays that. But I like to have women who feel like they can't live without me, because if a woman feels like she can live without me, I lose all attraction to her. I don't know why.
No, Andrew Tate was telling the absolute truth when he said he wants to find women that love him, because as he grew up in status and gained a lot of popularity and stuff like that, he figured out very quickly that there was a lot of superficialness on the other side of the fence. Now, when he first started his run, he was just boasting and, living the rich life. And this is what he was conveying in imagery and what he was saying of how status and society should be. But there was no real purpose. He was just trying to divert society from turning a different way, going against a system that's backed by a lot of money. And that's not how you actually change a system. Where Andrew Tate went wrong was well before he began his journey, is understanding his purpose.
So it's nothing personal. I'm sure your technique is fantastic and you're very attractive.
Thanks.
But
do you think that makes you a narcissist then?
Oh, I think every single person on the planet is a narcissist.
Yeah.
I think it's fucking ridiculous when we sit here and say, he's a narcissist, but I'm not. Of course, that's the dumbest shit Every single person
When
on
you
the
look at
planet.
the definition of it, everyone
Everyone's
is to
a
a certain
narcissist.
extent. As long as you want to be successful and you believe in what you believe in and you
You're a
feel
narcissist.
empowered by it,
Of course.
suddenly you're a narcissist.
Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's out for themselves. Everything is transactional. And the goal of all transactions is to get the better end of the deal. And I have no problem with a girl spending my money if I feel like I'm getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah.
If she gives me like children, for example, that's one of the ways she can give me the better end of the deal. If she dedicates her life to me and she's sexually exclusive to me and she doesn't go out clubbing or partying and doesn't do anything without telling me and she gives me her life and her loyalty, I feel like that's worth some money. That's a transaction, but it is a transaction. It's absolutely what it is. I'm not interested in having sex with women just for the sake of sex.
And this is the psychology part about this. You know, the more people talk, the more you understand them if you're listening to the right things. Now, him saying that everybody is a narcissist, what he's referring to is everybody that he's dealing with on the other side of the fence. Or now that he has status and power, everybody wants something from him. So it changes his perspective and perception on society as everything is transactional because everybody wants something from me. Then if I want something back, now it turns into a transaction. And this is what happens when you chase status and fame and all of these things and money, right? Things that you really can't stand on foundational wise is because it's subject to change all the time, especially with no absolute purpose, right? You would think that you get all of this fame and fortune and stuff like that is enough foundation. But when you get on the other side, your perspective change as things happen to you, you know, him going to jail and things of that sort and them really cracking the whip on him. It changes his perspective. As he said at the beginning, he was jaded, right? So in other words, is he was hurt. He found out that his money is only so powerful. And with the experiences that he had has warped his reality. So him saying everybody is a narcissist, he's dealing with the court people. He's dealing with a lot of people that are out for themselves and throwing him under the bus. So now, even though his circle is small, because he's dealing with other powerful people, so he's understanding that there's levels to the powerful people, and the world that he is now in gives him a perception of everybody that's a part of this world is a narcissist. But that's not necessarily true if you know how to go about and see people for who they are early on.
This might be controversial, don't find sex
God
that...
forbid you're controversial.
I know. I don't find sex that entertaining. I really don't enjoy it that much, to be
Maybe you need
honest.
to switch your girls
Sex
up.
is supposed to be entertaining.
No, I really, like, I'll be halfway through fucking a bitch and I'm just like, you know what? I got better shit to do. I can go,
I thought you need to impregnate her.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Because I really don't find sex that
How long are
great.
you lasting in the bedroom?
Long enough, my dear. I don't really find sex that entertaining. I don't enjoy sex that much. I don't really care, really. I'm not that sexual a person. And I think that's because I could have it as much as I wanted, maybe. I don't know. I mean, most men are so busy trying to chase it all the time that it's entertaining to them. But because I can fuck basically any girl on the planet, all of a sudden I really just don't really want to. I have
Would
other
you lick
shit
a
to
girl
do.
out, or is that gay in your eyes because you're not doing that to breed her?
I think perhaps if a man licks a girl out, foreplay, I wouldn't say it's completely gay, no. But
Just
I
getting her
mean,
ready for
if
your
you
pipe
just licked
then.
a girl out and then didn't fuck her, I guess that would be kind of weird. And that's how I see sex with a condom or sex with a birth control. I see it as that. If you imagine you just licked a girl out and then stopped, I think it'd be kind of fucking weird. I don't know, but who gives a shit what I think, right? I'm just a guy. But my
You're just a guy with a lot of court
my
cases.
primary objective is to die with children.
Yeah.
My primary objective is children. Like, perhaps it's because if you have an empty life, if you're a man and you're at home all day and you've got a basic 9-to-5 job and you don't have much going on in your life, perhaps sex is a lot more entertaining to you because you have all these beautiful women you see on Instagram that you can't fuck and you have nothing else you can do. But me, I can fuck any of these girls on Instagram and I don't really want to because I can drive any car in the world and I can go anywhere in the world and I have private jets and I have court cases to fight and I have an empire and I can do podcasts. I can do so many amazing things that sex is just further down the rankings than
Like
other
for
stuff I
me-
can do each day. If I wake up each day, I don't go, I want to fuck. I wake up and go, you know what? By the time I do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, I've had a great day. Maybe it's just because my life's so fantastic.
Yeah.
And the fact that all these women these men are chasing I could have makes them less appealing. But most of these men get no pussy, so of course they're obsessed with pussy. Starving men are obsessed with food.
You know, he's absolutely right about the starving men that are obsessed with food and the different dynamics of the regular 9-to-5 Joe and versus the high profile man. But the 9-to-5 Joe is contributing to society. The 9-to-5 Joe has purpose and meaning. He's keeping society moving versus being on the other end of Andrew Tate's side of thinking that your purpose was to quote unquote wake people up or put people in a different mental position to let them understand what is carrying on and quote unquote fighting the system, and then having that bubble burst and being left to nothing but a breeder, as he would say. Now that is his purpose. That's a pretty empty life for a man that's very wealthy. So I think in some context he is envious of the 9-to-5 man, because the 9-to-5 man does serve more of a purpose than he does. You know, you can have all the money in the world and still be empty. And if you have followed Andrew Tate from the past to now, you will see the drastic change in how he spoke then to how he's speaking in this podcast. That there's a deflation going on within him as he uses his words.
And if you have a buffet, you eat a bit and you're kind of bored of it. If you have a buffet in your house, you're just not hungry.
Yeah. I think like the average guy in my queue is just someone that goes to work. They've got a wife, maybe a couple of kids, and like sex is the most interesting thing they've got in their life. So I completely
Of course, they have
agree.
nothing else interesting to do, you know. But I have other very interesting things to do. But yeah, so I'm not an overly sexual person, I would argue, and I'm glad I'm not, because if I was overly sexual like Diddy, I'd be fucking toast by now. Imagine that 4 different federal agencies for 5 years of investigating me, and they
You'd
managed
be
to find
fucked.
fuck all. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find any fucking orgies. They couldn't find anything. They're like, okay, we found a couple girlfriends, and he had sex with them, and then they had sex with him like 100 times, and they're saying one of the times he didn't buy him a hand.
You know, I just wanted to bring to you guys that all this status and wealth with no purpose really has no ending as far as achievement. You know, you can get to your certain place. Like they say, the journey is greater than the destination. Well, I would combat that psychology-wise, because the journey is great because all the tools that you pick up along the way. But when you get to the destination with no purpose, you find yourself in a free fall into another journey. And so you have this constant cycle of journey, destination, trying to look for your purpose. And I think that's what Andrew Tate fell into with all of this, right? You watch your favorite vloggers, you watch your favorite, some of their purpose is to bring a certain awareness or spread love or happiness or whatever the case. And they're sold on that and they're locked on that. And that's a beautiful thing, you know what I'm saying? Trying to absolute help people. But there's a lot of people that hop in these spaces who have no idea what their purpose is, but they're just along for the ride. But you ride it out for so long that there's only a certain amount of stakes that you can have before you start to get tired of it. There's only a certain amount of flights you can have before you say, well, what is the purpose of all this? You know? And life runs its course as things happen. And as life is running its course, you get tired, you get burnt out, because life in all of us has a battery life where we do have to shut down and recharge. And during that recharge, we reflect and we think about our journey. And in that journey, you think about purpose. So I say this from a psychological standpoint. This isn't about Bonnie. This isn't about Andrew. This is just about understanding your purpose. And while you're on your journey, ask yourself, what is the purpose? How's it contributing? How's it helping? Not just yourself, but the next man, because we're all in this together. And whether it's now or down the line when it's time to pay it forward or pay it back, you just want to make sure that you make a big enough impact, whether it's in your community, in your city, in your surroundings, to where you can at least influence 1 life, 2 lives outside of your, immediate family to then start the chain of reaction to change the culture, change the process. Because as long as everybody acts like individuals, everybody's out for themselves, then you'll continue to get a lot of Andrew Tates at different levels. Empty, jaded, mad at the world, and lonely. But you guys let me know your thoughts on this video. And if you guys have any videos that you want me to check out, follow me on Twitter or X. I'll leave the link all in the description. Link me videos and I'll dissect them. But let's build this community. But you guys take care for now, and I'll see you in the next one.